Does not reflect. Oh,
There
we
it
go.
goes.
There it is.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Vermont State Senate Institutions Committee. I am your host for today's proceedings, Joe Benning, the chair of the committee. We have Senators Ingalls, McCormick, Mazza, and Parent with us. We are in the process these first few days of simply making introductions and introducing the committee members to the players that will be involved and associated with the Capitol bill and all things that fall under the jurisdiction of the Institutions Committee. I just want to remind folks who may be watching, especially on YouTube, that if you are entering comments in the comments section, that although you are generally free to enter whatever comments you want due to freedom of speech, the bottom line is that this medium is actually a family-oriented channel, and we would hope that you would save your more nasty comments for the direct emails that you send to us rather than post them on this particular page. With that, we have our newest chair of BGS, commissioner now, I think they call you, right?
That is correct.
Ooh, big bucks now. Wow. Wow.
Well, Jennifer Fitch is here to join us and start off the conversation, I think. I also know that Eric Filkhorn is here. Kristen, it looks like Kristen Klauser. I'm not sure how that happened, but welcome.
Thank you.
Suzanne Young from the administration has joined us.
Yes, thank you, Senator.
Wow.
Is
We
there
never get her.
anybody?
Well, we thought it would be a good opportunity for the BGS team to be formally introduced to you, and it sounds like you've made those introductions, and there have been a few changes in the secretary's office. So I just wanted to drop in, say hello, make the formal introductions, if that's okay with the committee.
That is absolutely okay. And Suzanne, I'm happy to have you do your introductions.
Okay,
First,
thank
we
you.
probably ought to start off with you because there isn't anybody on this committee. Well, yeah, there's one person on this committee who probably hasn't met you yet.
I would say that was probably Senator Ingalls, or
I see Eric is chomping at the bit to say
Yeah.
something. I'm not sure what it is.
I just wanted to let you know that Mark O'Grady was in the lobby, but he's in now, so
oh, there he's in now too.
I will return.
So Senator Ingalls and other distinguished members of the committee, I'm Suzanne Young, the Secretary of Administration. I've been in this role with Governor Scott since January of 2017. There's 5 departments within the agency, tax, finance, BGS, libraries, and human resources. So we provide an array of support functions to the rest of state government is the best way I know to explain it. So it's an agency with many talents and many tasks. And we have a new deputy secretary. You all may remember Brad Furland, who was a 30-year state employee and very, very experienced in the financial world as a deputy commissioner of finance and chief of financial services for the state. And he served as deputy for 4 years and 3.5. He took a well-earned 30-year retirement back in October. On my birthday. It was a great birthday present. I mean, we really miss Brad, but we were really fortunate to have Kristen Klauser join us over the summer in preparation for Brad's retirement to have some transition time. And Kristen is now the deputy secretary of the agency. She is comes from the Attorney General's office, but was the chief of the Human Services Division in that office. So she has a pretty good knowledge of the largest agency in state government, which is very helpful to us from the support side of the equation here. And then today, as it relates to this committee and your jurisdiction over the Capitol bill, and we have a new commissioner, newly named last week or earlier this week, Jennifer Fitch. She has served as deputy commissioner under Commissioner Cole, who retired back in August. She served as acting commissioner until her formal appointment at the beginning of this week, or they all merged together, January 3rd, whenever that was, which I think was Sunday. So she's been elevated to the commissioner's position. And then we have Mark O'Grady, who she has appointed as deputy commissioner. And Mark comes to us from the Agency of Transportation. He's our property, served as our essentially our property manager our property manager prior to his appointment as deputy. He's been a great asset to the department over the last couple of years, sorting out all our space, where we have space, where we need space, where we don't need space, and finding us space if we need more. So that oversimplifies it, but he's been just great in that position, and we're very confident that Jennifer and Mark are going to be a great leadership team for the department. So I appreciate the time to make those introductions to you, and happy to answer any questions. Or I will warn the committee, I do have to leave in about 10 minutes. I'm sorry, I can't stay for the whole hour, but did want to take this opportunity.
I just had one question for you. Yesterday, the treasurer was on with us telling us that the recommend amount for the capital bill is 123 million plus change, which essentially is the same as we've had the last 2 years.
Right.
I don't know if you can answer this question, but do you anticipate the governor is going to stay within that limit?
I anticipate the governor will stay within the recommended cap, the cap recommended by the Capital Debt Affordability Advisory Committee, which has taken me years to get all those together. CDAC, we call it. Yes, they and I am a member of that committee, and the decision this year was made to level the authorization for this biennium, and so the intent is to stay within that cap.
Well, I was surprised that your committee came up with that number, because I had been under the impression we were going to be losing about $20 million of that in this current biennium.
I think that I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I think we've been doing about a 7% drop over at least the last biennium. And if there had been a ratcheting back, it would have probably been only about 3 million of a drop if we stayed on the same trajectory. So it wouldn't have been 20. I mean, I had never anticipated 20, but hey, stranger things have happened. But the good news is the committee felt very comfortable with this level during the pandemic and this level of funding for the next biennium. And that may definitely change, for the one after this.
Right. The only issue was that virtually all last year, I was telling everybody who was coming in to testify seeking money that they should probably expect a lot less next year. I'm not sure corrections was worried, but those walleye guys were probably getting real nervous.
Oh, that's good. Keep them on their toes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was in my role with the clean the Clean Water Board. They rely on capital money, and Secretary Moore and I were signaling to the board and the Clean Water Initiative not to plan on the same level of funding. So I think we all were foreshadowing this, and I think it does make people at least stop and think that there's not an unlimited pool of money to borrow from. And so it's good news, right? At the end of the day for those.
Yeah, I'll just have to say, never mind when everybody comes in asking for the same amount of money.
You can always say no.
That's true. Anybody have any questions? All right, with that, not seeing any, thank you very much for coming and joining us. And which of the remainder of you would like to head off the next discussion?
I would recommend perhaps Deputy Clauser, who I should have mentioned, has taken over the task that Deputy Ferlin had, which is to be the overseer of the development of the capital bill, since there are so many. It's an interagency bill. There are a lot of agencies and departments and entities that have outside input into it. And she's done, I think, a very spectacular job learning all of this with the budget analyst, Mike Middleman, by her side from finance, who is also the budget analyst for the Capitol bill. It's been a great way, I think, for her, I'll let her speak for herself, to learn a lot about state government, because a lot of it comes together in this bill, much like the budget. So thank you again, and we'll see you all soon. I'll jump off, but I'll stay behind the scenes here for a little while anyway.
Thank you for the introduction.
Thank you.
Let me pause before you hop on, Kristen, and say that I am a Rotarian, and in Rotary meetings, we have a general rule of thumb that even though we're all adults and some of us are very ancient, we usually talk to each other using each other's first names. So if I screw up and don't announce that you're Commissioner X or whatever the case may be, I much prefer the committee meetings to be more informal. Gets a little problematic when the governor walks in, but it's a good opportunity for people just to get to know each other on a friendly basis. So the first question I have for you, is it Kristen L. Kristen, or is it just Kristen?
I was going to say that works for me because I apparently have two first names in my description. That's happened to me before, and I can't quite figure out a way to fix it. But my hope is that by the next time I'm in front of you all, someone fixed it for me.
I'll bet you that was Mike Ferrant popping in.
All right. Well, thank you. It is just Kristen Klauser, though. It's nice to meet everyone. As Suzanne said, my background, I came to Vermont in 2012 with my husband and family, and I've been at the Attorney General's office ever since. Prior to that, I was in private practice in New Hampshire and Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. We kind of jumped around a bit. And my entire career in the Attorney General's office has been in AHS. So coming to AOA and working on the Capitol bill has been really interesting for me because I've managed to get out of my AHS bubble and see quite a bit of the rest of state government. So that has been fascinating. My role with respect to this committee, as Suzanne said, I serve as the kind of administrative liaison for the Capitol bill, helping to coordinate all of the varying agency and department requests and working with the governor to tie those into what you will all see as the final governor's recommendation with respect to the Capitol bill.
So just for your edification and Suzanne's while she's still here, next week, after we receive the treasurer's report on Friday of this week, talking about the pension problem, I intend later next week to get into a more in-depth conversation about that. It may be a good time for you to return and listen to what's going on. We'd like to get into a very serious conversation about how to wrap that problem up. Anybody?
If it could only be done in one day, Senator, but yes, we haven't seen the report. We haven't seen the recommendations that she's, I understand, finalizing now. We'll certainly be reviewing it, taking a look at it, and listening intently to her presentation to you next week. And so I appreciate the heads up on that.
Okay, I don't anticipate it will be a one-day conversation either,
Right.
but this is going to be our first in-depth look at it. Kristen, did you have anything else you wanted to tell us?
No, I'm happy to take questions, though, if folks have them.
Anybody have any questions? I don't see any questions. Who
That
would
works
like
for
to-
me.
They'll think of something about 3 o'clock this morning. Regret not asking. Who is up next? Jennifer, welcome back. You're
Muted. You're muted.
There you
There
are.
you go.
Eric muted you.
Can you hear me now?
I
Yes.
didn't mute her. I would
Yes.
never mute her.
Okay. All right. Great. I'm glad you can hear me now. So sorry about
Might
that. So
kick her
my
under the
name is
table.
Jennifer. My name is Jennifer Fitch, and I am as Secretary Young said, I am now the BGS Commissioner, and I'm super excited about that. A little history about me. I actually grew up on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, where I get some of my customer service part of my personality from, and then moved up here to go to UVM, to the College of Engineering. I got my engineering degree in civil engineering, and I am now a licensed engineer, which I'm pretty proud of. I worked for VTrans for 12 years. I went through Tropical Storm Irene with them in recovery. I also worked in the Accelerated Bridge Program and helped get that program off the ground. When Commissioner Cole came over to Buildings and General Services, he was the secretary at VTrans. He brought me with him as his deputy, and as Secretary Young said, I've been there now since basically middle of January of 2017, so 4 years at BGS. Commissioner Cole left, as she said, in August, and I officially stepped into my role as the full-fledged commissioner within the last week or so. So that's a broad brush on my history, and I'm excited to leave BGS forward. Mark and I will be really focused on the department, both on workforce development and on modernization and efficiency. And so those are the things we'll be focusing on internally. And then Eric will introduce himself, but you'll see his face more often than mine. But I certainly will be in the committee to help support capital bill development. And so that will be my role, is really just supporting Eric and our project managers with them giving testimony.
Great. Committee, any questions? Does that dovetail into Mark?
It
Yes.
does. I'm happy to hand it off to Mark.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mark O'Grady, the recently appointed Deputy Commissioner of BGS, as Secretary Young pointed out. Happy to receive this appointment and looking forward to working hard. I'm a lifelong Vermonter. I grew up in Berry City and now live in Colchester. Often patronize Senator Mazza's store in the summertime.
All right.
Tell about it.
I'm a graduate of Norwich University, Vermont Technical Colleges with degrees in business management and accounting. Prior to being appointed the Deputy Commissioner of BGS, I served as the Director of Planning and Property Management, as Secretary Young pointed out. We really oversaw a lot of the space relations, space building out programs, leases, and expansion and contraction. Before my time at BGS, I was the right-of-way appraisal chief for the Agency of Transportation for about 16 months or so. And then I was in private practice for over 10 years as a commercial real estate appraiser throughout Vermont and New Hampshire. So I have extensive knowledge of the real estate market in Vermont, contacts throughout, which has really served me well in my role here at BGS thus far, and certainly think it will continue going forward. And I look forward to serving the taxpayers and assisting however I can with this committee through Eric and Commissioner Fitch.
Mark, is there any particular area of the Capitol bill that you might be personally responsible for?
Not right now. My focus mainly will be on operations of the department. And as Commissioner Fitch kind of identify roles in sections of the bill that she thinks that I should focus on, that I'll leave that up to her to decide that.
Okay. Committee, any questions? I think that's bringing us to Eric. It looks that way. I see Sean Allen here. I'm not sure if Sean is here to testify or not. I didn't see his name on the schedule, but we can handle him because we've got time. But I think, Eric, since you're still moving and raising your hand, you probably want to go next.
Thank you, Senator Benning, aka Joe. Wow, I just completely lost it. I am Eric Philcorn. We kind of did this on Tuesday with Becky and Catherine. I can think that Mark O'Grady might be particularly valuable in some of the authorities matters in the bill if we're talking about property transactions. He's an ace on that front, so you may hear from him there. biography, a proud graduate of Santa Monica High School, where I got a job selling t-shirts for a band when I was about 18. And that turned into a career in the music business as a talent scout and a PR person. But then I met a nice girl from Vermont and moved to Vermont in 1999. I lived in Richmond for the balance of that time, along with a stint in a basement in Burlington, and served 9 years on the Richmond Select Board, was on the MPO. That was one of my gateway drugs to a political life. And Chris Cole pulled me in at AOT, and I was the communications person there for a bunch of years, where I got to work with Jennifer Fitch on all of her bridge projects, winning hearts and minds around the state, and was brought down to BGS. Gosh, I guess this is my fourth go around with the Capitol bill. So I'm part fly on the wall, part resource, and always here to serve you.
And do you have all of your talent scout connections that are necessary for somebody entering into the music business?
These people are dying. I'm one of the young ones in my cadre, and they're dropping like flies. I still have a few connections. I still, musicians come to town and we hang out. But for the most part, I'm pretty much just a Vermonter. I haven't been back to California in 7 years now.
Well,
Like
Senator McCormick and I, when we get booted out of the legislature, are going to be looking for a new job. So we may need to have those connections established again.
Maybe you can be the guy who plays guitar in the bar at Burke or Jay Peak or something.
I've been there and done that for Burke, but not JP.
I've heard you play.
I
That's
sang my
actually-
way.
My first job in the state of Vermont was acting as a bouncer in the town of Burke for a bar. I was hired on December 30th of 1975, and on December 31st, the building burned to the ground. It's just a little trivia.
Yeah.
Trivia, right. Coincidence? Did you like your job?
To this day, when I run for re-election, I bump into someone who will say something along the lines of, "Your band played at my wedding. You've got my vote." I sang my way into the Senate.
Good job. Good job.
Yeah.
Committee, any questions or comments for Eric? Dick?
How come we lost all our AOT employees to state buildings here? I'm just trying to figure this all out.
People really wanted to be downtown.
Probably because they knew who the chair of Senate Transportation was.
It looks that way. I got 1, 2, 3 of them here, I guess. What's going on here? God.
Yeah, well, now you got Butch to kick around in transportation, so.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, gosh.
Okay, I still see Sean Allen on the screen. I'm not sure if he's actually participating in the meeting or not. I don't hear him either. Denise, Michael?
Good afternoon, Senator Benning.
There
This
he
is
is.
Sean. Simply providing additional support for Denise should she need it. So
Okay,
I will
great.
not be testifying.
Oh, that's right. You're with us, actually.
Yes, I am.
Good to know. Okay, folks, I appreciate you all coming out today. We will be obviously meeting with you a lot more as the year goes on. But as I said earlier, this is basic introduction week, and we appreciate you spending a little time with us here today.
Are we going to do a Rotarian song to close out, or what's the?
Well, we could, but I don't know how many Rotarians are in the room. All right, thanks for coming. Committee, if you could hang on for a couple minutes, we're going to talk about tomorrow. But thank you all for coming out and joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Committee, we are going to continue tomorrow with the tag team duo of, and Denise, please correct me if I'm wrong, of Mike Snyder and Lewis Porter. The two of them may be joined by Mike DeBonis, who's the head of the Green Mountain Club. But this is a good opportunity to let all of you know if you have any questions at all about what goes on in the state's brick and mortar or any kind of park system, Almost everything about the state, this committee touches in one form or another. So Russ, especially for you, if you are interested in learning something about the state of Vermont and actually meeting with the players, do speak up, let me know. We can get virtually anybody in that you want to chat with. And this particular time of year, while we're waiting for the Capitol bill to come over, is a great time to have that happen. With that, committee, I think I'm going to wrap it.
Senator Benning, just one question.
Sure.
When, and you've said it before, but it's all new, so I'm learning as we go.
Yep.
When do you typically would see the Capitol bill?
Well, they have this thing called crossover. I don't know how familiar you are.
I
with
am.
it. Okay, well, it's generally right after town meeting week. The bills that are being sent from the House to the Senate are supposed to be arriving in that time period. I don't think they've picked an actual date yet for when that's going to be official. But crossover essentially means that all the bills over there are supposed to be over here if they have any chance of passing, and vice versa. All of our bills are supposed to be over there. And then we will be spending a lot more time in the afternoons working with each other, and probably have a couple of hours each afternoon. We'll take a break in the middle somewhere. But that's where we get into a lot more intense